Hey, good morning, Marty. How you
Hey
doing
Joe,
today?
back for another PSA podcast. This is good stuff, man.
Yeah,
Looking forward to this discussion.
yeah. Wednesday, Friends Day. Happy to have a couple friends here with me. So today we're going to be discussing the business and technology behind Alba Manufacturing. So Alba Manufacturing, what they do is they engineer, design, manufacture material handling solutions, including a wide range of conveyors, conveyor systems for a variety of OEMs, systems integrators, and distributors. Now we're going to get deeper and dive into that, and John's going to explain a little bit more about their product portfolio. But if you want to learn more about Alba, you can visit their website at www.albamfg.com. And yeah, so today, Marty, we're joined by John Quinn, and John is the regional sales manager for Alba Manufacturing. As a regional sales manager for Alba Manufacturing, John's passion is to work closely with his distributor and integrator partners, as well as end users, to develop industry-leading material handling solutions. So, hey, John, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, Joe. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. Hey, thanks for taking time out this morning on this Wednesday to sit down and chat a little bit with Marty and I. We're super happy to have you here, and we're anxious to learn a little bit more about yourself and then also Alba Manufacturing, okay?
Yeah, perfect. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So, hey, I want to congratulate you. I saw that you recently just had your 5th year anniversary with Alba.
Yep. Five years. I feel like I've learned a lot over those 5 years, but absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you bet. Time flies, doesn't it?
It sure does. It sure does.
Yeah, well, tell me a little bit more about yourself, a little bit about your background, and how'd you end up at Alba?
Yeah, sure. So I've been on the manufacturing side of the material handling world for really since I started. Right out of college, I started with a vertical lift manufacturer that specialized in working with conveyor systems. Ran into the '08 recession, as everybody remembers, that as a sales guy gives you an appreciation for your customers and for what can happen when the revenue stream spigot turns off. But that was my introduction into the industry, and really enjoyed everything I was working with and what we do. From there, I went to it's called a leading lift table manufacturer where I worked tech support. So that involved talking to really a lot of the same customers I'm working with currently, where they would have a problem with a lift table. It would just be wait for the phone to ring, pick it up, and try to go through the adventure of whatever was wrong and try to get to the bottom of it. And working through problems as a manufacturer again, it really gives you the appreciation of being all knowing of how is this happening, what's the root cause, and it was a really big step on my path. From there, I moved on to actually the integration side of the world, where selling conveyor systems and all manner of material handling equipment, and really gave me a taste for kind of how the other half lives, how the integrators operate, and the challenges with dealing with end users, and some end users being less reasonable than others, shall we say, and really just being able to understand and appreciate that side of things. And I feel like that's made me a stronger kind of representative on the manufacturing side, being able to understand, hey, this is the pressure, this is the challenge. It doesn't matter, let's just solve the problem, and then we can all collaborate afterwards on how we got to where we are. But that landed me over here at Alba Manufacturing, and it's been a great experience. And now I get to be where I enjoy, which is on the manufacturing side, and really be able to be the expert of a relatively small kind of corner of the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're pretty well rounded with your history here. So you can, the service side, troubleshooting, all the way from the integration side to like what PSA is as a traditional systems integrator, into now the OEM or manufacturing. So that's fantastic. So what do you really enjoy about, your position or your job duties at Alba?
Yeah, well, it's the customer interaction. It's picking up the phone and never really knowing the application you're going to come into. I guess, you have an idea who you're about to talk to. We will talk to all manner of customers that will come into an application and be scared to death of it and scared to death of pallet handling. And at that point, I get to kind of lead the conversation and just say, all right, just give me good information and we can get through this and we can get a really great solution for your customer. To others who have been doing it for decades, and that makes things a little bit easier. But the true enjoyable part is maybe working with maybe a more green salesperson who isn't as knowledgeable, and they can come into an application, and I can really kind of be there and say, okay, this is my understanding of the market and the industry. This is who you might be up against. This is how you're going to sell this versus competition. Here's some opportunities to cut some cost if you get some pushback in that direction, and just to be able to kind of work through it with whomever I'm talking to along those. And then the relationships you build in this industry. It's an industry where it seems like people don't really leave; they kind of just move. Yeah. And so it's fun to see where people pop up and then start new relationships and meet new people.
Yeah, like you said, that people just kind of move around. It's one of those businesses, whether it's integration or from the OEMs, you kind of see the same players popping around. They move around a little bit. So it's interesting how this industry works, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So how much travel do you do?
So we get to stay. We end up staying fairly close to home. That's not to say that we don't visit our customers. Mainly it's in a more of a training session. But I guess this is what I'll need to help you. And so as far as getting out for specific applications, it happens. But the nature of what I do, as long as you can give me, the real estate we're working in, the pallets we're operating with, the weights, the basic information, I can get you a layout and we can kind of design it from there. So it's not that we never, get out to get into the field, but at the same time, it's more rare. We can do most of the stuff staying at home, and that way we can really be better representatives for what's going on in the manufacturing side.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. And I know that we kind of work together with you directly on some applications and then sometimes through distributors, depending upon how that transaction is going to be working. And I know in the past, you've really helped us when we provide you with a layout or a space and saying, this is our challenge or this is what we're looking to develop. And you've been fantastic. And I just wonder, is that something that you traditionally do time and time again for your partners, whether it be an OEM or a distributor or a systems integrator like us? You give that help? I mean, is that just what all your distributors or what all your representatives do?
Yeah, we have a saying here: what starts wrong stays wrong, and so it's really our focus that from the beginning of an application, we are taking a deep dive and we're trying to really understand exactly what needs to happen and really looking for pitfalls, and then using our experience of, okay, we've done similar to things this in the past. This is, maybe challenges that we learned from. This is what we do. But it is something, again, being on a kind of a focused side of the industry, we can really get into the minute detail. And from my perspective, from a salesperson, I mean, all of these things where you get into the minutia of a project, you really do. You learn from everything, and being able to understand our product and the applications from the inside out really does allow us to be better at our job, I feel like.
Right. So do you go out on the customer floor, joint sales calls to see, maybe some space constraints, to see what materials they're actually moving around and the pallet types and quality and all that you take into consideration? Or do you rely on the distributor or systems integrator to bring those details and pictures back to you?
Yeah, we honest truth, we rely on the distributor for a bulk of that. Again, from they're able to see really the whole picture of the solution, and not that there's not other aspects that come into play, but our focus is kind of on the A to B, the conveyance of it, and how do we do that? Understanding floor constraints, understanding ceiling constraints, that's all stuff we have to know, but that can usually just as easily be communicated on a 2D drawing layout and just a real brief description. The important part is understanding the pallets and the bottom boards and the orientations, and that's where we live, and that's where we wear out our integration partners. You just say, look, I can only really quote this if I understand that. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the pallet meets the conveyor.
Right.
And so we really need to understand that to be able to put forth the best solution.
Great. So what are some types of products that you guys offer? We're talking a lot about pallets and pallet moving, but what's the breadth of your product portfolio?
Yes, it would start with the roller conveyor, the CDLR, which we call the chain-driven live roller conveyor, and that's really our bread and butter. That's where it starts. And all of our products are focused just on moving pallets, and they can be utilized for moving other heavier duty product or other kind of weirder, let's say, type product. But the focus is pallet handling. So you start with your CDLR roller conveyors, and we'll try to usually push that in most conveyance applications because it's kind of the most efficient, most cost effective way to move product. From there, we do offer a drag chain conveyor. Which we'll use really when the bottom boards or for whatever reason the product dictates that a CDLR isn't going to really be a good solution. And we'll use UDOF for transfers, so pop-up 90-degree chain transfers for changing direction, turntables for the same reason, and then just a number of other products, pallet handling related, so a pop-up, a lift and rotate, also known as an iron cross. That's something we do a lot with to change pallet orientations. Pallet dispensers, slip sheet dispensers.
Right.
That's something that we're seeing more and more in the last probably 5-10 years. We've seen really a huge increase in demand for that, probably due to all the palletizing applications we're seeing.
Right. I know we use a number of all of what you just explained, and we've had super good results with it, so we do appreciate that. For sure. And now I want to get into a little bit of something that I'm sure Marty's going to really like, because we often we talk about LinkedIn and how effective LinkedIn is. And I got to tell you, John, you're very active on LinkedIn, and your content is really cool. I mean, you show a lot of great, I would say, descriptive type video, or not videos, but like pictures, and you're kind of you show what your product breadth and portfolio is. You do a really good job of that. Is that something you've always done, or was it COVID came along and you weren't able to go make visits or what have you, so you decided to just utilize LinkedIn? What kind of drove that?
Yeah, and it's been kind of a company focus. It's one of those things where in our marketing department, kind of collaborates very closely with us on a lot of things. But it's really been something where I'm not a big social media guy, and so I don't want to say I entered into it reluctantly, but you kind of see the value very quickly, and being able to connect with people and seeing people, getting your products out there, and I'm sure you've seen something in an albagram that we offer. And then we'll recirculate. That's something which we'll usually highlight in application. And we see it really gets people thinking. And the number of times you'll get a few applications that come in, and you'll be like, there's a thread of commonality to this. And you realize that it's probably due to that albagram that just went out not long ago. And so when that happens, I mean, that's a beautiful thing from a sales perspective.
That's a beautiful thing.
And so, really appreciate the team here for working and helping us with the content and keeping things moving.
Right.
But,
Joe, let me follow up on that.
Sure.
As far as I'm concerned, absolutely right answer. But also I'll commend you on your Alba shirt and your Alba sign behind you. You're very sensitive to marketing. Excellent. Did you also use LinkedIn, or in addition to LinkedIn? You have distributors, you have system integrators. Do you also use LinkedIn or other social media, or how do you stay in touch with all these people that you have, your distributors and your system integrators? I guess is LinkedIn part of that?
Yeah, LinkedIn's probably just a component to it. I mean, obviously, we're calling on pretty regularly and trying to stay in contact best we can. I mean, things get busy, things get absolutely busy, and which becomes more challenging. But in addition to that, I mean, it is a different atmosphere as far as especially for us, because we do try to get around and do boots on the ground meetings with people, but that's harder and harder. And trade shows are great, but those, that's just 4 days of just pure chaos trying to meet with people, and some people you've never met face to face before, and they leave the booth and you're like, oh shoot, I've had like 4 conversations with that guy, and forgot to make all the connections. But yeah, it's ideally it would be a smaller piece to a larger overall way of staying in touch, but it seems to do the trick, at least staying in front of people to some degree.
Yeah, that's great. Marty, what else you got?
Well, I'm going to throw a curveball probably, but here you go. So I thought I'd throw this out. John, are you seeing anything in your industry or in your company or with whoever in terms of the artificial intelligence and machine learning and all that kind of stuff? Are you seeing anything in your industry regarding those kinds of issues?
Not yet. And I'm honestly probably not the best the best one. I stay pretty kind of focused on the issues at hand. I mean, it's exciting from what I understand about it, and how it comes into play. I couldn't really tell you, but not at this point.
You answered my question. Just if it was top of mind to you right now, and most people it is not. I just thought I would ask that question. So back to you, Joe.
Yeah, Marty. A lot of manufacturers are starting to consider that the IoT, the Internet of Things type, and they're putting smart devices on their equipment. So that may even be another talking point there, John. If you guys are even thinking about putting smart devices to monitor your conveyors and the hardware associated with it, just increasing uptime, getting some information back, increase PM. Preventative maintenance type service offerings, anything like that?
So yeah, and I kind of honed in on your AI your AI question initially, but we are seeing a bit of that. So again, to be honest, the focus of what we offer is the mechanical. As a manufacturer, we're bringing raw material in, raw steel, structural steel in one door. We're welding it up and we're sending product out. So most of our focus is really more of the blood and guts, the mechanical components of conveyance. And so it's our integration partners that will kind of put the smarts into it. So we're just maybe supplying a 1 horsepower motor, and then how that's driven and how that's communicating back and forth goes from there. Now I know there are some pretty sophisticated motors out there with the integrated VFDs and all sorts of ways to report information and keep track on things. And we see that. We will integrate those on occasion too. But really, most of what we focus on is just what we're really good at, which is the basic manufacturing mechanical.
Makes sense.
So that's a great answer. Great clarification. So you're just the bare hardware. You've got your conveyor frame, rollers, and then the motors, and then the system integrator like a PSA would then put the drives in the control cabinet, and then that's where all the smarts, so to speak, take over, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, perfect. So do you have any applications or any time where you have to customize a solution for somebody? Say like, okay, I've got these product offerings, but there's a little bit of a twist, and geez, if we could just customize it, we would have an ultimate solution. Do you go down that route, or you just strictly buy the portfolio, buy the catalog?
Yeah, so we do in fact run into that quite a bit. So it's kind of funny because one person's customization in a lot of cases is kind of our standard, right? So we've been doing this for 50 years. We literally just celebrated our 50th anniversary of doing business, which we're all really proud of. But we've been doing this a long time. We've seen a lot of worked with a lot of technology, seen a lot of good things and bad things, and learned a lot of lessons along the way. So it's really not a scenario. It's not often something we run into where it's okay, we got a brand new custom application. This is a real challenge. We gotta really figure out how to solve this. It's something where we can say, hey, look at this, and we'll go back and we'll talk to our engineering team, and we've got a deep stable of engineers back there, and they'll say, hey, we really did something similar to this back in 05. This is the application. This was the challenge, and I think there's a lot of lessons we can learn from that. And that really keeps us from having to do any type of true R&D on the floor, right? That's the last thing anybody wants to do is to be getting it out there without having proven performance that it's going to work fine and that it's going to hold up over the years. So really, most of our focus is able to say, okay, well, we did it really similar to this with a small tweak here or there. This would be perfect.
That probably answers one of my questions, Joe, and John, is that, kind of what makes you distinctive. And I think you just explained that, that somebody comes to you to them might be a unique or custom solutions. And because you've been doing it for so long that you have, I'll say in-house, you've already seen that. I would think that's a part of your strong selling proposition. Would I be right with that, John?
Yeah, you'd be absolutely right. And going with that, our focus is really on the application coming out of the chute. So as opposed to other manufacturers where it's kind of incumbent on you to give a part number, a length, and just a couple specs. We really want to understand the application. We want to understand the pallet. We understand what needs to be done, and really what's going to win it for us. What we can do to win the project for everybody. And the benefit of that is from the time a quote goes out, it's had the eyeballs of at least 2 to 3 engineers that have really reviewed it, and they're just itching to say, hey, why challenge us? Why did you do it this way here? Hey, I think we can save some money, and it would be a better solution if we did that. And that's just from the quote standpoint. And so from there, obviously get to the detailed phases. But that's our focus, is really just to make sure that that every application that we're offering a solution for, we're understanding and we're getting the best possible solution.
Yeah, that's great. So being around for 50 years, I just have to imagine that, Alba has a strong, culture internally. You've been there for 5 years. What sense do you have of that? The tenureship of some of your engineers, is it pretty strong, deep?
Yeah, very much so. It's a pretty tight group, and everybody's really proud of the products we put out. Everybody's really proud of the team that we have here. And to that point, when there is an occasional challenge, everybody is mad about how did we fall down in this? How can we make it right? How can we make it easier on everybody? And there's just a lot of pride in the product, and I think that's really what's given us our really good name in the industry for putting together really heavy duty pallet conveyor. That's really pushed us along.
Great. Hey, let's take a step back. You mentioned earlier trade shows. And I come from my background prior to joining PSA. I was with an OEM robot manufacturer, ABB Robotics, and we went to trade shows quite often. And I heard you say like trade shows can be tough. It's a 3 or 4 day deal, and you're kind of entrenched, in the booth. What's your feeling of trade shows? The value that you get out of a trade show, your expectations from trade shows, and then the ROI, meaning what are you actually getting from leads? Are they good positive leads? I'd like to expand a little bit on that. Yeah,
and that makes sense. It's definitely a topic kind of for hot discussion. I love them, honestly. I didn't mean to give the wrong impression that they're definitely challenging, and it's definitely pretty hectic. And when the booth is hopping, I mean that's the most fun you have there. When you're just giving tour after tour, kicking the tires, so to speak. But I guess in my experience, and again, there's others that could speak better to this than I could, but in my experience, it's less about the true active leads that come out of these trade shows. And yes, there'll always be good leads, and we always need to show a deliverable for them. But it's just being able to meet the folks and then be able to give some people that maybe didn't have a really good understanding of who we are and what we do, being able to kind of walk around and show them the equipment and give them the elevator pitch, but a little bit more extended one. And then it's just when you run into these people or you get the email out of the blue 4 years later, I can't tell you the number of emails I got where the email is a response to my, hey, thanks for stopping by the booth from 4 years ago. And when that happens, you're like, that's phenomenal. They just squirreled it away in a folder, and then years later, it comes back, and we're a known quantity, and get to pick up right where we left off, and that's a great situation. I think the value of that is super hard to quantify, but it's something that I think is why at least I'll always see value in them. Being able to really meet our customers.
And how do you guys continue tracking those leads? I mean, there's quite a number of trade shows that you may be involved in, whether it's ProMat, Automate, Pack Expo. I mean, I'm sure it's your job to do all the follow up, but do you also then have like some sort of a CRM system that you work with that you're able to track these, put ticklers on to follow up, or so how do you go through that process?
Yeah, we have a technology or two that we use to stay in front of them and be able to keep notes going, and it has abilities to throw in reminders and dump information. But I mean it's aside from that, it's just trying to organize the best you can, and maybe no one likes cold calls, especially now. If people don't recognize a number, they're not going to pick it up ever, and so. Just to have the in is the most important thing, to be able to reply to an email on a reply versus out of the blue, hey, you don't know me from anybody, but here's why you should buy Alba. That's kind of the beauty of a lot.
Yeah. Hey, and then also going back to LinkedIn, it just came to my mind. Would you happen to use LinkedIn as a follow-up then? So you send an email out, but would you also go in and try to connect with that lead on LinkedIn and maybe say, hey, check out Alba, follow me. Are you using that?
Yeah, no, without a doubt. Yeah, and that's it's kind of the first step at a lot of times, whether it's a trade show or just kind of hunting up a group, saying, oh, we should be working with PSA on these applications. Actually, I'm pretty sure I did quite literally this to you guys. I'm sure you got a LinkedIn request from me actually, where I say, hey, just so you know, and just give your however many words you're limited to, or letters even, give your quick pitch and just why you should work with us, and you're not expecting a response, you're hoping they connect, but honestly you're hoping just to create some sort of connection, so when they see their name or they see your tag at a booth or anywhere else, say, oh, I've talked to John, why is that name familiar to me? You're probably not even going to know why it's familiar, but it's just at least you've made that first connection.
Hey, Joe, one of my favorite questions you always ask people is, a success story. Like, is there something recently, John, that you've been involved with, or whatever length of time it was, but some kind of a success story, cool or interesting or whatever? Do you have something you can share with us there?
Yeah, and as a manufacturer, it's probably not on the same scale of some of the others. A lot of our success stories are along the lines of, hey, we had a project go through, and at the 11th hour, the engineering team had to change all the designs. We still got it to production, and we still miraculously kept the ship schedule. Those don't translate terribly well to stories, but that's kind of our life. I guess one that rings true, and we actually just shipped the conveyor here a week or two ago. I got a call a month or two ago from a customer of mine, and they said, hey, we have one of your lift and rotate units. It's at a customer of ours, and hey, it's really beat to heck. It needs a lot of maintenance, admittedly they haven't done maintenance on it for 13 years. Been in the industry been installed for 13 years, and okay, great. Let's dig into it and start working through the questions and pulling up our information when we designed it and sold it. And come to find out, it's like, well, it's been used for 13 years, but it's been used for 2 or 3 shifts. We didn't have that understanding when we spec'd it and sold it, and it's also the capacity that you guys are using on it is double what it was designed for, and also it's throughput that it's operating under is at least double what probably triple or even 5 times what we understood. And so it went from like, holy cow, this has been in operation for 13 years? Like, that's unbelievable. And and you're like, that's phenomenal. And so, okay, understanding that obviously things changed and that happens, we would offer, instead of a pneumatic rotation, we'll say electric, and let's upgrade your bearings and upgrade your rollers and make a few other changes, which will hold up for hopefully another 25 years. And just, being in the know and being able to operate in that is is something we enjoy. And then at the same time, we actually had a customer about 3 years ago had a tornado really destroy part of their plant. And again, this is something, they have miles of our conveyor, and they had a real tough situation, and we were able to pull together within a few weeks a fully operational, I would say, even with our basic accumulation controls, we were able to offer about 50 feet of conveyor that would allow them to keep limping along, not have to furlough all their employees, and just that's something where you're actually able to do what we do, really ratchet up the effort and really make a significant difference. So when that happens, it's special.
That's great.
Okay, Joe.
Well, super. Yeah. So, obviously quality equipment, right? I mean, robust design and then dedication to your customer base. I mean, that's fantastic, John. I really appreciate it. Hey, so how can the listeners here get a hold of you, John, and follow you, and then also Alba Manufacturing?
Yeah, so we are, you can try to find me in Alba Manufacturing. I mean, you can go to our website, and there's all sorts of ways to connect with us that way. You can find me on LinkedIn. I do have a presence, so reach out and connect and make sure that you're getting our posts and able to see some of our products and applications that we run across. Hopefully, give some good ideas. But yeah, just give me a phone call. You can find it again for our website, which is www.albamfg.com. Alba is ALBA, mfg.com, and we'll be happy to help you. And look forward to working with anybody that has an application that we can assist.
That's awesome, John. It's been great. I appreciate you again taking the time out, Marty. Thanks again for being with me today, and happy selling to you, John.
Hey, John.
We look forward to working.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much.